It is time for Flames Unfiltered, hosted by Brad Burud, Kyle Lewis, talking Flames hockey each and every week. Kyle, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, or early evening in Eastern Canada.
Yes. In the Midwest, it is still afternoon.
Yeah, and here it is also a holiday, which is why you guys have some hockey games on at very strange times.
Yeah, and I think today is a weird holiday in the States. I couldn't tell you what it is. I know banks are closed, but banks close for everything.
Literally everything. It's ridiculous.
They spend
ridiculous.
Not working than working, but that's a topic for another podcast, right?
Yes, not this one. I made a mistake today that I need to share with you. Yeah. I made a egregious mistake. I've opened a Pandora's box, and by a Pandora's box, I mean, due to a recent chocolate craving, I opened a box of mini chocolate bars. It was intended for kids for Halloween. And now that I've opened it, the count has gone from 50 to probably 41 just today alone. So, thoughts and prayers, please.
An extra hour gym.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go restock, I would say. So. Oh well. Not the worst decision I've ever made. Not the best.
No. Could have been. Well, it could be way worse. I mean,
absolutely.
Could have been a 12-pack of Jack Daniels or something.
That's kind of like Dan Vladar said last night. Did you hear that?
I did not.
Yeah, he said he owed a 2-4 to Jamie Pringle, the video coach. It would have been, if it was only one video review, it only would have been a 12-pack, but because of the two, it was a 2-4. So
I don't even know what to say about this week. I mean, this is over the top good. Like if we would have wrote this down 2 weeks ago and put it out there on X, everybody would have laughed at us. But we're here. We're 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0,
and not just 3-0, but 3-0 against a Vancouver team that's pretty highly touted this year.
Emphatically 3-0.
And an Edmonton team that's picked to win the Cup. So,
yeah. It's funny, though.
Philly team that I was pretty impressed with, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Myself as well. I find it kind of funny. Like, I was listening to 32 Thoughts today, and he's completely right, but Elliot Friedman talking about the Flames, like working hard. And we're just talking about really working hard. And like Wes Gilbertson had commented on it a bit too, although he got a little bit more in depth. Yes, it's only 3 games in, so we don't want to get too excited. But I tweeted last night. There's 2 things I tweeted last night that got a lot of activity. One of which was about the Flames. It's time to start having the conversation that maybe they're way better than we think they are, which isn't to say they're a contender or anything of that nature, but better than we think they are. The other thing I tweeted was about how cringe Gene Principe is in Edmonton, and it's still blowing up. I'm at like 140 likes so far, so that's been fun.
I tell you what, like, that was one of the things last night that really irritated me, was having to listen to not just him as the intro, but the whole broadcast was
Jack. What's his name? Jack
Michaels.
What's his last name?
Jack Michaels and Bob.
He drives me nuts. The thing, listen, I know a lot of other broadcasts do this, but like their hit of the game or crunch of the game, whatever they call it, which was a menial hit on Martin Pospisil that sent him like an 1/8 of the way to the Oilers bench, was like the hit of the game. Meanwhile, you had like Justin Kirkland leveled Connor McDavid, for example. It's like, what is that not your hit of the game? Like what? Anyways,
they would never do that.
No, most certainly not.
Seriously slanted last night.
But let's dive a little bit into this conjecture around the team and if they're better than we think, because there's a lot to unpack there. And the biggest takeaway I have so far, and Wes Gilbertson pointed this out rightly, I think you've mentioned as well, is Braden Pahal.
Oh, yeah.
He's like really good at hockey. Like all of a sudden he went from like maybe a 6th or 7th to, I think this guy can play top 4. Potentially.
You know what? Here's the deal, though. We don't even need him to play top 4. We just need him to keep playing like he is. And he's our 6th guy, right?
He literally saved 2 goals so far this season, like entirely of his own volition. He's been absolutely fantastic. And nobody counted on that. Nobody.
No, I love what we've seen from Uyghur. I love what we've seen from Anderson. I love what we've seen from Pahal. Barry, one game, I don't know. I mean, I don't know yet. The book's still out there, right? Bean, I thought has been fine.
Yeah,
and Ball was bad last night.
Positionally, I think he's been decent thus far, but for a guy that big, he's really not very physical.
No, and last night he got himself running in trouble a couple times last night.
Yeah, a few times for sure. Yeah. But on the forward side of things, Anthony Mantha has been fantastic. Jonathan Huberdeau has been fantastic. Very nearly had a point last night. Once again, and it's just been like a totally different player thus far. Martin Pospisil has been fantastic. Connor Zary has been fantastic. Michael Backlund on that back check. Wow.
Maybe. That was unreal.
That was between the stick lift and the body check, unbelievable. Kadri's been really good.
Kuzmenko's been good. Who hasn't been good?
Igor Sharangovich, because he hasn't played yet.
I mean, when you look at our offense, I mean, aren't they? Every line's doing exactly what we ask of them.
Coleman's been great. Kirkland was fantastic against the Oilers, and what a great story that is.
And even Hanzik, I mean, guy who's been forced into a situation that's probably not ideal at age 19 years old is, I'm impressed. No, he hasn't.
He's coming close. He's coming close to that first goal.
And you know what? Most importantly is, has he been in a situation where we've been like, oh no, because he made a mistake and created a turnover that resulted in a scoring chance? No, I can't think of one.
No, not at all.
I can't think.
Couple chances, like he kind of double gripped the stick, or was a little bit out of place offensively. Trying to corral the puck to get a shot off, sort of thing. But I mean, his pace of play has been great. Like, I don't really notice him much on the ice, which is a huge compliment for a kid that young, right?
For sure. You know what? One thing today, Kyle, when I was thinking about this show, I thought, how are we going to do this? Because there's a lot to talk about in the Edmonton game, and I feel like there's a lot to talk about in the Philly game and in the Vancouver game. There's a ton to talk about. I don't know. Do we bounce around, or do we just start and talk about the Vancouver game first?
Well, let's try to stick to this. We don't have a script, but let's try to stick to the chronology of events. So we'll start with the Vancouver game being down 4-1. Take it away.
I mean, does JT Miller not run the Vancouver Canucks? He makes Pedersen is a complete ghost.
Yeah, early
JT Miller runs the show.
Yeah. I can't speak to how Quinn Hughes is as a captain, but it wouldn't surprise me to see the C on Miller, because he's the leader for that team.
He is. I mean, you can put it on whoever's jersey you want.
Yeah,
that ship goes what JT Miller says, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, there's been a lot of comparisons from this team, 24-25 Flames, to the 14-15 Flames. So 10 years later, which is interesting, and because 10 being the number that it is. But I made a comment about it today. It's like, this version of the Flames certainly lacks the high-end skill of some of those 14-15 Flames. But to me, this is a much, much deeper team.
For sure.
We're pretty solid at every position. Center's probably a little bit weaker than it was then, but I mean, the wings are significantly stronger, and I think the D is as well, top to bottom.
You mentioned the word high-end offensive talent, but we scored 6, 6, and 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm coming from the perspective of that's not entirely sustainable.
I know. We don't know, and it's not.
Yeah.
But it's funny what happens and who can put the puck in the net when everybody's working in the same direction, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to worry about any particular line getting the high ground, so to speak. Or, we'd always rely, and we still do, but like the Backlund line taking all the tough assignments. But I don't have that concern about certain players being on the ice right now. And that was evident in the Vancouver game, because everybody just started rolling, and then like, okay, let's get our shit together. And that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the hit on Rooney shook the first period up for the Flames, and the Flames were chasing around and out looking for revenge. I thought once Mantha got the fight out of the way, it was like a reset button happened.
Yeah.
And things changed. One thing I do want to point out, and it is Another justification why I hate the Canucks more than the Oilers is the chant while Rooney is laying down and the stretchers coming out of the ice is very Vancouver-like, yes. And one more reason why I hate the Canucks.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool at all. At least he got the the cheer when he's on his feet again. But yeah, I don't know. I like to think that a lot of them didn't realize that the guy was hurt, but based on the timing of it all, that's a weak defense on my part. I just try to assume the best of people, and they often disappoint me. But
and I got a feeling things will continue that way. Yeah, Mantha with a Gordie Howe hat trick. His breakaway goal was great.
Yep, was.
What did you think of Backlund's empty netter? Did you think more was made out of that than it should have been? Because I thought it's not like he didn't try to score here. Come on, guys.
I didn't think much of it at all.
I didn't either, and it just turned around and it went the other way. And of course, JT Miller gets a blaster over the shoulder of Vladar and ties it up. But in overtime, Connor Zary, is this guy showing us now in his sophomore year that he is the real deal?
Thus far, yes. I mentioned a lack of high-end talent, or I shouldn't say, because we do have some really, really skilled players. It's more of like, superstars, but Zary could be in that conversation. I mean, I figure the guy's going to have 60, 70 points this year. And just the patience and the poise on that play, just to like float the puck in there the way he did, like his edge work. Like, I don't know, I don't think I thought enough of him when we drafted him. I knew he was going to be a decent player, but I mean, his ceiling, I think, is higher than even the Flames may have thought when they drafted him.
Last year, one of the things that stood out to me for him was the patience that he showed with the puck. And that's something you often don't see, especially with younger elite players, but you surely don't see it with younger kid players either. But what I've seen with him and how it's carried over to this year and how that opens up the ice for him, the future is bright, and he may just be the next Calgary Flames superstar.
Yeah, I mean, he's as safe a bet as any right now, although there's a lot of guys to be excited about, like we said in our last show. I mean, there's an awful lot of really strong young players in this team and plenty more awaiting. So I don't know. I'm not sure what else you can say about that game. Was it a great comeback? Was it an ideal way to win the way they drew it up? Of course not, but a real character win. And then, carrying that into the game against Philly, which was a really, really emotional affair, of course, with the Gaudreau tributes and the message of the Gaudreau family. What were your thoughts on that game?
I thought the shot count initially in the first period did not favor the Flames, but when you get out of the first period and you're up 2-0, you can't ask for much better than that. And goals from Huberdeau. I mean, I know it went off his shoulder, but right now I don't care how it goes off anything. He adds another one in the third period, and I thought the Flames, as that game went on, continued to gain momentum.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking about that, Huberdeau, he's quicker, visibly. That was a major point of focus for him in the summertime. So, and not just his feet, but like his pace of play. And I think another thing that's kind of happened with him, we saw it in every game so far this season. You know how like when he was acquired, like we had Lindholm, and you always think it's just like a video game. You just put all your skilled players together and stuff's going to happen. The team, and they tried to do this, but it was difficult for them, was to find the right players for Huberdeau. Well, now he has a center in Pospisil who's making room for him, and he has a very, very large winger on the other side who can also make room for him, and these guys can both finish, right? Like, they can go in the corner and get the puck to Huberdeau, and he has more space than he's previously had to do something with it. So it's just really interesting to me how it seems like they found the right mix of players. There was a lot of talk in the summer about Mantha maybe resurrecting Huberdeau himself because they trained together in Quebec in the summers and all that kind of thing, but he is a very, very different player and a lot more reminiscent of the Huberdeau they had in Florida thus far. Again, only 3 games in, but the early returns it's hard not to be excited about that.
I thought it was funny last night on X. I saw numerous people tweeting out about the success of the Pospisil line and that it's for real. And it is 3 games in, and I've seen signs where I didn't really totally think that line was doing all that well, but for the most part, I think they've taken huge strides in just 3 games, like the 3 games, and they're gelling well. And I think Pospisil, he does so many things in a game that that are just small little intricacies of the game that create such big things. And there was, I can't remember exactly what it was last night. I should have probably wrote it down, but there was an example last night. I just was like, hey, that line just created a top end scoring chance, and it was all because of a quick, smart chip by Pospisil in the neutral zone, and he's just creating stuff. He is. And I'll be the first to admit, I said it on the show, I wasn't a huge fan of him getting the first try at center, and I was more for Connor Zary. But boy, you look at these lines and you look at where they're at right now, and you look at the success we're having, you don't touch anything.
No, and the things you do are peripheral. I thought it was really smart to get Matt Coronado into the Edmonton game, right? Although I was a little surprised to see Klapka, of all people, out for that.
I know, me too, because I think Klapka and I'm not knocking Coronado, because I quite honestly, I don't think that's the line placement for Matthew Coronado at all. No, I think that's more of a spot for Klapka, and I thought Klapka did a better job of that role than Coronado did, and that's not a knock on him at all, and saying that I thought he was bad last night, but that's not his.
It's not his forte. He should be on a scoring line.
Not a fourth line center, but I still, when I watch him play, I still worry about his skating. I really do. I really worry about his skating. I don't worry about his shot at all. I don't worry about his hockey sense or anything like that. I honestly, I just worry about his speed. I don't see it.
Well, time will tell. I have to get some more reps in, right? Which it seems. I know the way things are rolling right now. I mean, we'll see a little bit more of him in the games ahead. But
you know what, though? Is there room? I mean, there's surely not room for Pelche right now, and I question whether there's room for a Coronado. You get Sharon Govich back and Rooney back.
Well, based on Kirkland's game last night, and it's only 1 game, Rooney might have serious competition now for that spot, right?
He might. It was 1 game. We'll see. Yeah.
I don't think either one of those guys is going to be a night in, night out player for this team necessarily, because the nature of the role, because of injuries, because of everything else. But yeah, when Sharon Govich comes back, and that's the thing, and I was going to mention that actually, I have rarely thought of Igor Sharangovich at all since the season began, because
we haven't had to.
That's
6-4. I mean,
yeah, like sort of 3-0 without our leading goal scorer.
Yeah,
with the best shot on the team, no less,
against good hockey teams.
Yeah, and even then, I mean,
we beat the Duck, Sharks, and I mean, seriously, like you look at this, and like I'm not getting ahead of myself here. Like this is kind of, I think I said it last week. I said this is real similar to the Minnesota Vikings, right?
Yeah,
it is, and all of a sudden now, what happens is when you get off to a 3-0 start like this, is expectations go from here to here. Yep. And if this turns into a 6-2 start, then the expectations go here.
Yeah, the thing is, and I said this all summer, and I was hesitant because you never want to be that guy who comes across like, you're a homer. And like my brother's always complimented me on my ability to fully admit how crappy my favorite team can be.
Oh,
we're both in that boat, as any fan who's honest with themselves should be, right? But I never understood the conjecture in the summer of like how bad this team was going to be, because the only thing that could have made them really bad, in my opinion, was crappy goaltending. Yep. Which we haven't really.
It's a total fear, though. It is a fear. It still is a fear, to be honest.
Sure. But again, like the Pahal thing that we mentioned, Kuzmenko being revitalized when he came over from Vancouver, like Huberdeau's play, Pospisil at center, Zary's progression, Backlund being same old. Like a lot of these things we knew, some of them we didn't, but I never understood the argument that the Flames are going to be that bad, because apart from some issues that, center depth we've talked about, although right now with Pospisil, we don't seem to have much of a center depth issue. It's like this team is not that bad at all on paper. So why do people expect them to perform so poorly?
I look back to, like, remember last year at the beginning of the year, everybody was pegging Vancouver for a margin. They were maybe going to be a playoff team, maybe not, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they get off to a hot start, and then are the Vancouver Canucks for real? and they get good goaltending and timely scoring and put together a pretty good season last year. And you know what? Their defense plays a hell of a lot better than they did the year before. And all of a sudden, they add a few guys like Cgy, and all of a sudden the Vancouver Canucks are Stanley Cup contenders last year. Now, I'm not saying we're going to ever be to that range this year, but all I'm saying is that this tear it down to the stud rebuild that the Buffalo Sabres are doing isn't working. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't work. And the book is still out on the Blackhawks, right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary to do that. I don't think we will do that in Calgary. And I don't think this needs to be a 5-year thing. I don't know why in 3 years we can't be back to a somewhat elite level. And we're taking the right step this year, right?
Well, and if guys like, again, Pahal, Wolf, like if certain guys, continue to do what they're doing, then maybe it starts this year, maybe it is next season. And you get people already who are like, on X cautioning about, not abandoning the script. The script is to be a win.
Script is to win.
Yeah, it's to be a winning hockey club and print playoff tickets, and it looks like it could potentially happen way sooner than we thought. Again, it's super early, but really this retool, rebuild, whatever you want to call it, so far is off to a fantastic start. We have $20 million in cap space. We have a very competitive team who's thus far has outworked everybody they've played. Maybe not through all 3 periods, mind you, but
no, we've had our moments. Well, we started off horrendous against Vancouver. I mean, we've had our moments, but look at this. Right now, the Flames are 3-0, and I understand it's 3 games, and believe me, I am the first person that's not going to hit the fast forward button and get unrealistic on this. But the Oilers are 0-3. They're 6 points back 1 week into the season.
Yeah.
You start digging holes. You can get yourself out of this. And I'm not saying the Oilers are out of this. I'm saying the teams that put themselves behind the 8 ball, like the Predators are doing right now, like the Sharks are doing right now, like you can play yourself out of this way quick.
Oh, 100%. But I never. Yeah. I just, on the Edmonton side of things, that's what we said in the last show about how lazy some of these picks seem to be by the sports analysts, these writers saying that Edmonton was a cup contender. Like, I get it. They got there last year when you have a player like McDavid and to a lesser extent, but similarly Draisaitl, you can go all the way. But I don't see them as that deep of a team.
Their defense is a tire fire.
I agree. And then, losing Holloway and Broberg didn't help. No, and bringing in
Skinner is not the answer in goal.
Yeah, he was really good last year, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand what all the hoopla is about that team. And I'm not saying that as a Flames fan. I'm saying because I don't see it. Darnell Nurse is the most overpaid player in the league. I don't think there's any question about that. And yeah, you can point to Huberdeau, but Huberdeau typically is not a liability. And right now he is playing a lot more like a $10 million, $10.5 million player. But I mean, the Oilers, like an 0-3 start after making the cup final,
at home, all the games were at home.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you question the character of that team. And I don't want to start some, discussion around that necessarily, but it's like they're going to turn it around. They're going to be better because they have to be. They have too much talent not to. But I don't understand why people are so married to them getting back to the cup final. I just don't see it.
Jeff Skinner was their most
significant acquisition.
Significant. No, he was the most significant offensive threat last night.
Oh yeah, no, and that's concerning.
Did you see what the hits were last night?
Oh, I can't remember now.
27-13 in favor of the Flames.
Yeah.
And one thing I worry about is faceoffs this year, right? Where we would talk a lot about faceoffs when you have new centers like Pospisil, where are we sitting in the face-off category? We won 23, they won 29. I don't think that's horrible. It's not ideal.
It was going much worse earlier in the game. They definitely got better as the game went on, thankfully.
Rasmus Anderson, a +4 last night. A goal and 2 assists.
Man, that goal of his, I tweeted that and I got a bit of activity to do. Is just Anderson's just like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. He looked unreal in that play.
So what's with this death stare?
I don't know. I can't remember where it started. I remember the first time I noticed it vaguely. It's kind of fun. and I much prefer it over like flipping off a fan or engaging with them verbally. Like this is a lot more subtle, but
effective.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a great interview too. The guy's got a great personality.
Let's dive into this Oilers game last night, and let's first talk about the goal that all of us, I think you did too. I thought I saw it on X. And man, and it brings us right to the X factor, because I was I was all over saying this is going to be a good goal, and
I was confident.
Boy, was I wrong. And Zeke, average fan Z, says elite challenge. And when I saw this, I thought, oh, geez, no way. And everybody else was tweeting stuff like, there's no way this is going to count. There's no way this is going to count. And then it does. How surprised were you?
I was stunned.
So why? Did you hear a final explanation on why?
Well, I saw there was an explanation posted. I didn't read it. I saw Vladar's post game where he's like, "I can't believe that didn't count." It's to paraphrase him.
I know there's the terminology about being in the crease, but I thought you were fine if you were in the crease as long as you weren't interfering with the goalie making the save. And I didn't see that one. I'm sorry. As much as I'm a Flames fan,
and
count. I didn't see it.
I love seeing Corey Perry suffer. I love that he's lost like 3 consecutive cup finals or 3 or 4, whatever it is. I can't stand him. I remember the 2015 playoffs. I wanted to murder him. Like he's a dirty, dirty player. And I'm not even like, if the Flames had ever signed him, like, oh, you like him, you've played for your team. I don't think so. I really can't stand the guy.
He was kind of the Lucic for me. I was like, I want to bite my tongue. Get me through this, man.
It was a stupid call, and I'd like to, and actually I gave credit to Ryan Huska, but more specifically, I should have given credit to Jamie Pringle, the video coach, for catching this, for making this challenge. I'd like to see what he had to say. How did he think the challenge at? Because I'm sitting on the couch watching this game, I'm like, that's going to count, and then they're going to be on the penalty kill. I was like, that's going to sewer this game for them, and it was the exact opposite, and I couldn't believe it.
And Huska made it sound like he was really adamant that he was sure on this one. And I was like, oh, I didn't see it at all. And then just minutes later, we get the offside call back. And this one I caught, because I even said it right when I'm like, that guy's offsides. Yeah. That guy's offsides.
Yeah. Yeah, he was majorly offside. There was no question about that one at all. But again, totally different game if they don't make that challenge. So
it changes everything. It changes everything.
Yep. That's I guess what they call gamesmanship, right?
What did you think of speaking of gamesmanship, what did you think of Backlund's little slash on Skinner?
That was Skinner's best Dominic Hasek impression to try and sell that.
Oof.
I thought that was was it necessary on Backlund's part? Of course not. If it's the Battle of Alberta, it was a love tap. Like
there was a time I was complaining about Skinner his reaction, right? And how he tried to sell it so masterfully. There was a time in I believe it was in the second period when Kuzmenko got hit from behind and he tried to sell it something fierce. We were on a power play and he tried to sell it. And I'm like, oh boy, don't do that haunts you. Don't do that. Please don't do that ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody does it at times, or most do, I guess. But fortunately, it was much ado about nothing.
There was one point in the third period where the Flames had 2 shifts in a row where we completely dominated and held offensive zone time. And it was just, the passing was unbelievable. And we had Edmonton just chasing. And that's how you win hockey games against good hockey teams. And that solidified the game when they were able to do that in the third period and run that time down and pop in a goal. It really, really solidified that game for the Flames.
The TSN turning point, I guess we would call it. The most important moment of the game, undoubtedly to me, was Michael Backlund's back check. That 3-on-1. It was basically a 4-on-1, then to a 3-on-1. And he, not just the stick lift, because a lot of guys would stop there. He prevented the shot, he prevented the pass, like good on you. But the body check, as part of the same play, it's like, man, this guy gets it. Completely neutralize the opposing player such that the Flames are able to take possession and go back to the way. Like, no wonder he's the captain. No wonder he's perpetually in the Selke conversation, right?
17 seasons, most in franchise history too.
Yeah, and he is now 7 games away from 1,000, I think.
Is that what it is?
He's very, very close. So that game-worn Backlund jersey I have just keeps going up in price. I don't think I'll part with that one, though. I really can't.
You can't. You can't get rid of that one at all. We touched on the Rooney injury. Going back to that, he is day-to-day now. Day-to-day. Sharon Gofish still week to week. Kirkland is up with the team. He gets his first goal last night, I believe.
What a great story, eh? But we need to touch on that. So,
yeah, I mean, 28 years old, getting his first goal.
10 years after he was drafted by Nashville, 2014. I want to say the 3rd round. 10 years in the American Hockey League. And it wasn't like he just banged it in, like, nice backhand goal and tight, and like him smiling on the bench, like it was blinding. I almost went to go get my sunglasses. Like, good for him. Good for him.
Those are good stories. And let's just hope he can continue that play, and we'll see. I mean, I'm assuming Rooney will get his spot back when he comes back from injury, but it sure does feel good to have guys like Kirkland and Morton in the wings. Let's go back to before he played this game. Were you a little surprised he was a call-up and not Sam Morton? Because I was.
I was surprised. And interestingly, just a quick side note, Cole Schwint had an assist in the Knights game the other night too. But yeah, I was very surprised. Now, I mean, Kirkland's a pro, has been around, like I said, a long time. I wouldn't have been surprised to see him at this point this season, but for a guy that's bounced around as much as he has and he's always been a tweener. I really, because of Morton's camp and how good he was, not to say Kirkland didn't have a good camp, I really was surprised to see Kirkland get the call.
Yeah. But he's making the most of it, right?
And that hit on McDavid, man. Whew.
That was it. That was on Draisaitl.
Or sorry, Draisaitl. Yeah. There's a bunch of good hits that time. But yeah. No, he played an excellent game, and all of a sudden he has become I'll call him right at this point a regular option for the Flames going forward. And a good one.
For sure. And that's what we need, is to see guys like him stepping up, and that's what good hockey teams are built upon, is next man up, and that guy does his job, right? So yep. All good with that. I saw a few things this week on various social media forums where people were predicting, each team's leading scorer and stuff. Who do you think they predicted the Calgary Flames leading scorer this year?
Kadri?
Jonathan Huberdeau. I laughed.
Really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. I thought, man, what would that do to this team?
Well, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
did you know that
unreal?
Did you know that Sam Honzek's the 6th youngest player in the National Hockey League right now?
I heard that the other day.
It's crazy because I mean, I can't think of the last time we had young talent in a Flames lineup, right?
That young would have been Sam Bennett.
No, they actually said Valimaki.
Was Valimaki that young?
He was the last teenager to play for the Flames.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, fair enough. Bennett was the last regular, which Honzek isn't necessarily at this point, but very well could be.
Yeah.
I saw his parents at the game on Saturday, too. That was cool.
When I was thinking about our show today,
I can see the wheels turning. This is going to be good.
No, it's not actually. I was like, man, we really need to make sure we don't oversell the super start. But how do you not be excited?
Well,
I mean, how do you not because I kept telling myself, all right, it's 3 games, it's 3 games, it's 3 games. But I mean, isn't this what good seasons are made of?
This is what I mean, the team, and I saw like a cautionary note today. I think it was in the Calgary Herald about Canadian Thanksgiving isn't the one that matters in terms of playoff positioning. It's American Thanksgiving. But this is these types of starts are the ones that determine in March if you're going to be in the playoffs or in the playoff race at least, right? If you piss away all your points in October, November, a good chunk of them, you're screwed down the road. So,
tell you what, you flip the script, right? And we have this show today, and we're 0-3.
Yeah,
our season's already cooked.
Well, I mean, yeah, because it's a different expectation too. Like people talk about the Oilers now, they're going to be okay. Well, maybe, and they may not be, right? Like, who knows? But the thing is, there's so much parity in the league now, and right now, and I'm, you can look to Utah right now, Winnipeg, Dallas, and Vegas. I think are the other. Is there 6 teams that are undefeated so far? Anyway, whatever the case, all of these teams.
LA is also.
They lost today to Ottawa.
Oh, they did.
Overtime, mind you, but still 8-7. By the way. Where was I going with this? Oh, just the fact that the Flames. I don't know you right now. There's a better 4-line team at this early point in the season. So again, I preface everything or conclude every sentence by trying to caution a bit, but at the same time, it's like they're not as bad as people thought they'd be. And in fact, thus far, they're a pretty good team.
I think so. And I sit and I look at the depth chart, and I'm like, all right, on the forwards, I am not disappointed in any of them yet.
Not Zero. Not a single one.
Defensively, I can't. Defensively, there's one guy that I'm just like, I'm trying to be sold on him, but I'm not sure, and that's Miramanov. I don't know why. Why am I struggling with him? He can't hit the net. Why? He struggles to hit the net.
Well, he's not particularly noticeable, which is a bit of a compliment to him. But I think because he was arguably the biggest piece of the Hanifin return, there's a bit more expectation with him, right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think that's part of it. I hope he, in terms of Uyghur's play, Anderson's play, and again, most of all, Pahal, he's definitely being overshadowed right now, but we'll see how it works out.
Is he part of the future of this organization?
They think so right now, but we'll know a lot more by Christmas time or just after.
I would agree.
Yep. And realistically, it's interesting because Tyson Barrie kind of bumped Joel Hanley down a little bit too, right? So this top 6 that we have, that's what we're not real deep beyond that, right? So you kind of got to hope everybody keeps pulling their weight, like we mentioned. Ball being he's quick enough to make up for some of the mistakes he made last night, but everybody's got to keep,
But we get 8 that can play. Yeah, that's probably more than most teams, and then it comes down to prospects at that point, right? And I look at our prospects, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to see a couple, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it depends, right? I mean, if the team continues to win or has a successful season in that respect, that really hinders the likelihood of seeing some of these prospects this year if they're going to be competitive all year long. But if they do start to fall off, we'll see some auditions in the new year, I'm sure. I
saw updated playoff odds today from Money Puck.
Yeah, would have been 45% or something.
Nope, Calgary's moved up to 22.5.
Okay,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, you got Edmonton's there.
93.9.
Okay, so that's all based on preseason prediction then.
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, interesting.
You got some money? You want to go throw some money down on Calgary because they're plus 17,000.
Wow. Well, I blew more money on the 50-50 today that I once again didn't win at the Moncton Wildcats game. Although I did get this cool hat, so that was nice.
And they won.
Yeah, they won. Etienne Mornin was a stud again. Have to get him on the show sometime too. I have to reach out to him. They're ranked, like I was telling you before we started here, they're ranked 4th out of 60 in the CHL this year. So, and they went all in with the coach and manager they hired, and they won 9-3 on Saturday. It's fun right now.
Are you rushing out to the bookstore? Kadri's book comes out tomorrow.
It'll be in my mailbox on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it a while ago. I actually forgot that I did because the book I'm most excited for right now is Alex Van Halen's, which will be out later this month. Speaking of books, I got to ask you this, unrelated. The book, Nothing But a Good Time, the uncensored history of the like the 80s hair metal scene. Have you watched the documentary?
I've seen one. Is there parts of it? Because I saw parts. Okay, I saw the first one.
Yeah. Is it on? It's on Paramount Plus in Canada. I'm not sure what it is in the States.
That's what it is in the States.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good. Really good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the first one. I'll have to watch the other ones. But
also more importantly for you, and then we'll get back to hockey. Don't forget to check out the new old Rat release, Reach for the Sky.
I did.
Yeah. You dig it?
No, I'm not a big fan.
Well, you get to hear Robin Crosby play again, 20 years after he died, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why I didn't make the album, but it's still fun to listen to new music.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always cool.
Exactly. So this week we got Bedard and the Blackhawks on Tuesday night.
Yes.
That'd be a good test.
Then we go to Seattle on Saturday, so it's a real quiet week for the Flames. Real quiet week.
I wonder if we see Sharon Govich back in next Saturday.
Boy, we haven't heard any talk of it though at all, have we?
No, but
I haven't heard any updates or anything.
And hockey talk, that's a appreciable amount of time between now and then, right? So we'll see. He'll be close by then, I'm sure.
You think so?
I think so.
So does Sam Hansen get more than 9 games?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
I think so too, but where does Sharon Govich fit back into this mix?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think because he's young as well, I think he's going to be kind of in and out at some point. That's just the nature of it. Like, I remember Gaudreau being scratched in 14-15 early on, then he went on to have like 64, 67 points, whatever it was he had that year. Hanzik will sit here and there, just as a means of not disciplinary, but to watch the game. And we'll see. We'll have a better idea where he's going to fit in down the road, but I do think he's with the club for the year.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because if this team does stay healthy, which would be unbelievably great, but probably not going to happen. I mean, you slot Sharon Govich in there with Kadri Kuzmenko, and then you got possibly still Huberdeau, Mantha, Backlund, Zari, Coleman. I mean, Rooney, Lomberg, and Klapka. I don't know where these guys are getting in.
I don't know. But injuries are going to happen.
Injuries do happen.
And back-to-backs, long road trips, all those types of things, right? So
it's a grind. It's 82 games, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's going to be interesting.
A big thanks to a couple new followers this week, Tyler Shapka and Sports Talk Guy 585. Follow us on X. We thank you.
Awesome. I forgot what the hell I was thinking about there. Oh, I guess just like the big challenge right now for Calgary is going to be, sustaining the momentum while they have a few days off, right?
It's probably going to be a good thing to get some practice, don't you think, early in the year? Don't most teams want that?
I think so, but when you're playing as well as they are, it's also going to be a little bit tough to take your foot off the gas, so to speak. Hopefully they come out flying against the Blackhawks and, start the season off 4-0, but
is that a worrisome game?
A little bit, because, Bedard can take it over. Taylor Hall's still sneaky good, I feel.
I just think you're coming off the hype of the Battle of Alberta. You had the season opener against Vancouver, which you don't like, and then you have the home opener, an emotional start to the year against Philly.
Yeah.
You got the Battle of Alberta. Is this a letdown game for Calgary?
I don't think so, largely because we already saw the fan frenzy on him today about Connor Bedard being in town. Otherwise, it might be like a sleepy game against a crappy opponent on a Tuesday night. But because Bedard and the buzz around him, that building should be sold out. I think they'll have to get up for it a little bit more because it's going to be a packed house and eyes will be on him. So, I don't think it's a letdown game. If anything, Saturday might be more of a letdown game. But the way they're playing, I'm not sure we're going to see one of those. This is a different team.
Having a young roster helps eliminate letdown games also.
Yes, true that.
It has been fun. It has been an exciting week. I look forward to these games more than anything. More than I can say in a long, long time. It's been amazing.
Well, let's enjoy it while it lasts, because it could be a much better team all season long. It could fall apart in a week. We don't know. But based on how Huska prepares his team, the way he communicates with them, we've seen more of that than we ever have, thanks to the training camp series. Watching his post game last night, that team really playing for each other and for the staff, and it shows. And when you get everybody pulling in the same direction, man, some great things can happen. So we could be having a very similar conversation in a week's time, and maybe 3 weeks from now, right? Maybe 3 months from now.
Let's hope so, because I don't think any of us saw this coming. But you know what, Flames fans? Let's enjoy it while we can. Tuesday night, Chicago in to see the Flames. Connor Bedard. Good one to watch. Flames fans, have a good week. And we're back next week talking more Flames hockey.
Can't wait.
Thanks for listening to Flames Unfiltered with Brad Burud and Kyle Lewis, your source for unfiltered Calgary Flames hockey talk. Keep it locked on flamesunfiltered.ca. Subscribe where you get all your podcasts to never miss an episode. Flames hockey talk every week, presented by Inside Edge Hockey Media Group.